Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The high in Riverside today is 79.2 degrees, with a low of 63.9, so expect a comfortable fall day with mild breezes, perfect for getting out and enjoying the season. Coming up, we'll explore how President Trump aims to boost the coal sector by opening up federal lands for mining, and delve into California's groundbreaking efforts to set new standards for regulating advanced artificial intelligence. Plus, other key stories on global tensions, tech innovations, and local impacts. All this and more on Alex's News. Stay tuned. Good morning, everyone. First up in our top stories today, the Trump administration made waves yesterday with a major push to breathe new life into the U.S. coal industry. Ethan, joining me from the studio, what can you tell us about this bold initiative?
Thanks, Grace. Yesterday, on September 29, 2025, the administration unveiled plans to revive coal through massive land openings, hefty funding, and deregulation. According to PBS NewsHour and ABC News, they are opening 13.1 million acres of federal lands for new mining leases. That's about 5.3 million hectares for those thinking in metric terms, targeting coal-rich areas like the Powder River Basin in states such as Montana, Wyoming, and North Dakota.
13 million acres sounds enormous. Can you break down where exactly these lands are and how this fits into the bigger picture?
Absolutely. As detailed in The Guardian and E&E News, the focus is on western states under the Bureau of Land Management, which oversees about 245 million acres. Additional spots include Utah, Alabama, and Tennessee. This builds on recent moves like the expansion of Wyoming's Black Butte Mine through 2039. The Department of the Interior, led by Secretary Doug Burgum, plans 3 competitive lease sales this fall in Alabama, Montana, and Utah, as confirmed by DOI press releases cited in Inside Climate News. It's all part of achieving what they call energy dominance, Grace, to power surging demands from data centers, artificial intelligence, and electric vehicles.
Energy dominance. I like the sound of that, but it reminds me of digging up old grudges with the environment. Tell me more about the funding side, Ethan. How much are we talking and what's it for?
They are allocating $625 million from the Department of Energy to recommission idled coal-fired power plants or modernize existing ones, per PBS NewsHour and ABC News. The breakdown, from Houston Chronicle coverage, includes $350 million for general upgrades to boost efficiency, $175 million for affordable energy in rural spots like Montana and Alabama, $50 million for better wastewater systems to handle coal ash toxins, $25 million each for dual-fuel options with natural gas and boiler enhancements. It's positioned as reliable baseload power for the AI arms race, as Undersecretary Wells Griffith put it, ensuring no blackouts when renewables falter, like during that polar vortex earlier this year.
Dual fuel sounds like hedging bets in a coal poker game. And the deregulation? What's being slashed there?
Spot on with the pun, Grace. Royalty rates for federal coal production are dropping from 12.5% to 7%. The first big cut since the 1920 Mineral Leasing Act, thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act signed late last month, as reported by AP and The Independent. That saves producers millions yearly and applies to surface-mined coal through September 30th, 2034. The EPA, under Administrator Lee Zeldin, is delaying 7 deadlines on Biden-era wastewater rules for toxins like arsenic and mercury, which protect groundwater from cancer risks, according to ABC News and Sierra Club. They are also opening a 60-day public comment period on revising the regional haze rule to ease pollution cuts over parks and tribal lands.
Secretary Burgum had a memorable line at the news conference, right? Something about mining?
Yes, he quipped, quote, "Everybody likes to say drill, baby, drill, but President Trump has another initiative, mine, baby, mine," end quote, echoing Trump's oil slogan. Zeldin called coal a generational energy source, while criticizing past heavy-handed regulations. This ties back to Trump's April executive orders on reinvigorating beautiful clean coal for jobs, national security, and reindustrialization.
But not everyone is cheering. What's the pushback from experts and environmental groups?
Critics are firing back hard. Coal only generated 15% of U.S. electricity last year, down from 45% in 2010, per EIA data in Forbes, because natural gas and renewables like solar at $24 per megawatt hour are cheaper than coal's higher costs. Ted Kelly from the Environmental Defense Fund told PBS NewsHour it's subsidizing dirty, uncompetitive plants from last century, ignoring solar, wind, and batteries. Sierra Club's Lori Williams, in City News Halifax, accused it of letting big polluters toxify waterways, linked to thousands of deaths. They predict short-term boosts at best, with coal as stranded assets amid 2.8% annual demand growth through 2040, driven by data centers quadrupling use by 2030, per Bloomberg Dent EF in Utility Dive.
A hot topic indeed, pun intended, with lawsuits likely brewing. Thanks for breaking it all down so clearly, Ethan. We'll cover our second story next. Good morning, everyone. We're wrapping up our top stories this morning with a groundbreaking development in artificial intelligence right here in California. Yesterday, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a landmark bill into law that could set the stage for safer AI across the nation. To break it all down for us, I'm joined by our tech policy reporter, Chloe. Chloe, what exactly did the governor put pen to paper on?
Thanks, Grace. That's right. On September 29, 2025, Governor Newsom signed Senate Bill 53, known as the Transparency in Frontier Artificial Intelligence Act. According to reporting from Yahoo News and ABC News, both drawing on Associated Press journalism by reporters Tran Nguyen and Matt O'Brien, this is the nation's first comprehensive safety measures for what they call, quote, frontier, end quote, AI models. Think of these as the super powerful AI systems on the cutting edge, like the ones that could potentially be misused for scary stuff, such as creating bioweapons or launching cyber attacks on power grids.
Frontier models? That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Can you explain what makes an AI model, quote, frontier, end quote, for folks at home who might not be tech experts?
Absolutely, Grace. As detailed in coverage from the Mercury News, a frontier model is basically any foundation AI system trained using more than 10 to the power of 26 integer or floating point operations, or flops for short. That's a huge number, way bigger than what powers today's chatbots or image generators. It's like measuring the brain power of these AIs in terms of the massive computing scale needed, helping to spot the next generation that could pose real existential risks, even if the threshold is a bit imperfect.
And who does this law target? Is it going after all AI companies or just the big players?
It's aimed at the heavy hitters, Grace. The regulations kick in for, quote, large frontier developers, end quote, meaning AI companies or their affiliates with annual gross revenues over $500 million from the previous year. That keeps the pressure on giants like Anthropic, Google, Meta Platforms, and OpenAI, who call California home, without squashing startups. Exemptions for smaller innovators are key to nurturing our state's AI ecosystem, which already helps with things like wildfire detection and managing highway traffic.
I love that balance. What are the main rules these companies have to follow now?
It's a multi-layered approach, as outlined in reports from CBS News and SiliconANGLE. Developers must create and publicly share, quote, frontier AI frameworks, end quote, online, updated every year. These include best practices for testing catastrophic risks, which the bill defines as events causing at least $1 billion in property damage, more than 50 deaths or serious injuries, or enabling threats like chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear weapons. Before releasing a new model, they filed public transparency reports on things like supported languages, intended uses, and risk assessments. No heavy-handed kill switches, just showing their work to build trust.
And what about if something goes wrong after launch? How does the law handle incidents?
Post-deployment accountability is huge. Per the state's official ca.gov portal and analysis from Courthouse News Service, large developers report critical safety incidents to the California Office of Emergency Services within 15 days. That covers unauthorized access leading to harm, AI-enabled threats, or systems that deceive and subvert controls. For imminent dangers like risks of death or injury, it's 24 hours to authorities like law enforcement. Starting in 2027, which is about a year and 3 months from now, OES will publish anonymized annual summaries, plus quarterly confidential risk reports, and strong whistleblower protections for employees reporting dangers, with anonymous channels to avoid retaliation. Non-compliance? Civil penalties up to $1 million per violation, enforced by the Attorney General.
This comes after the governor vetoed a tougher bill last year. How did we get here?
Evolution indeed, Grace. As highlighted in the Los Angeles Times Enlivenment, Newsom vetoed SB 1047 in 2024 because it was too rigid with pre-deployment certifications and audits that big tech called innovation killers. He formed a working group with experts like AI pioneer Fei Li, whose June 2025 report pushed a, quote, trust but verify, end quote, model. SB 53 weaves that in, focusing on transparency over mandates, and even adds the Cal Compute Initiative for public AI research clouds. It's like giving AI a model citizen badge without chaining it down.
Reactions seem split. What's the buzz from supporters and critics?
Mixed bag, for sure. Senator Scott Wiener, who authored it, calls California a global leader in tech safety per Broadband Breakfast. Anthropic's Jack Clark, in statements to Yahoo News, praises it as practical safeguards that match their voluntary practices, though he wants federal rules to avoid a patchwork. Newsom echoed that at the Clinton Global Initiative on September 24th. On the flip side, groups like the Chamber of Progress and firms like OpenAI worry about state-by-state chaos, arguing for uniform federal oversight. Google stayed neutral, but companies are gearing up by boosting their internal systems.
Federally, things are stalled. How does this fit the bigger picture?
It fills a void, Grace. The Guardian and Pillsbury Law note Biden's 2023 executive order requires notifications for risky models, but it's voluntary without penalties like SB 53's. Trump's July 2025 plans to scrap regs contrast sharply, and Congress failed on a state moratorium. Other states like New York are following suit with a similar bill awaiting signature per State Scoop. California's leading the charge, pun intended, on this AI frontier.
Chloe, you've unpacked a ton here. Thanks for joining us this morning to make sense of this AI safety frontier.
My pleasure, Grace.
Here are some other headlines. Game on for a mega buyout. Electronic Arts is set to exit the public arena after 36 years, with an investor squad led by Silver Lake Partners, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, and Affinity Partners agreeing to take the video game titan private in an all-cash deal valuing EA at roughly $55 billion. Shareholders are slated to receive $210 per share, a 25% premium over the pre-announcement close. Call it a high score for investors. The record-breaking, leveraged buyout would mark a major consolidation in an industry hitting the pause menu post-pandemic. Going private could give EA more freedom to reprogram strategy away from quarterly pressure. The transaction is expected to close in the first quarter of fiscal 2027 pending approvals, with CEO Andrew Wilson staying at the helm. EVs are racing the clock as the federal tax credit pulls into the sunset today. Buyers have until the end of September 30th, 2025, to snag up to $7, $500 off new electric vehicles, and $4,000 off used models. Carfax data shows EVs and hybrids selling 30% faster than earlier this summer, and surveys indicate about half of would-be buyers fast-tracked purchases to beat the buzzer. The credit's termination, part of President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act, has automakers from Tesla to Ford and GM shifting into promo overdrive, with some dealers mapping out lease-based loopholes to keep the juice flowing. Analysts warn sales could hit a fourth-quarter crater without federal charge-ups, though some state and local incentives will keep the current running. China's factory engine is still misfiring, with the official manufacturing PMI ticking up to 49.8 in September, but remaining below the 50 mark for a sixth straight month, The marginal improvement from August's 49.4 hints at firmer output, yet weak domestic demand and external headwinds continue to gum the gears. The prolonged slowdown, the longest since 2019, adds torque to calls for more stimulus as Beijing aims for growth of around 5%. Notably, a private survey of smaller, export-focused firms showed a return to expansion, proof that while the big machine sputters, some nimble cogs are still spinning. A federal judge has put the brakes on plans to cut 532 jobs at the U.S. Agency for Global Media, parent of Voice of America. U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth halted the layoffs set for today, citing concerning disrespect toward the court and a lack of a plan to comply with an earlier injunction requiring VOA to uphold its mission as a reliable news source. The ruling preserves the agency's remaining full-time federal staff, for now, after a March executive order shuttered broadcasts and sidelined most employees. The stay keeps the newsroom lights on while the larger legal battle plays out. And in Kentucky, a data-driven crackdown on SNAP recipients is raising red flags. A joint investigation found the state ramped up administrative disqualifications from under 100 in 2015 to more than 800 in 2023, often citing patterns like whole dollar purchases or multiple same-day swipes as evidence of fraud. Judges and legal experts say those breadcrumbs don't bake a case, with one Franklin County judge calling it draconian to yank benefits without clear and convincing proof. Critics warn the approach can penalize families over pennies, sometimes literally, and pressure recipients into waiving hearings, turning due process into a checkout line rush. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with Claude Sonnet 4.0, Gemini Pro 2.5, Gemini Flash 2.5, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.